Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Pattison Ave Phanatics Show. I am your host, James Scorza, with you. With me, as always, the group of companions on this beautiful Saturday afternoon, Joey Marks,
Well, I can't wait for Saturday afternoon to come, but it's Saturday morning. But good morning, James Scorza.
Cowboy Dave,
How's everybody doing?
Damon Salee.
Good morning, family. Happy Saturday.
It's a beautiful Saturday, and let's hope we have a good one, especially the last couple weeks. Maybe good baseball and probably some football right around the corner.
All
So let's
right.
begin with our sponsors, and Joey, I'll let you take the helm.
So we'll start first with some Eagles, and then we can get into some sponsors after the Eagles. So training camp started this past week, and a lot of reports have been coming out about how soft, how calculated, and somewhat how not old school that it's been with the training camps, the physicality and all of that. So I'm gonna open it up with this question to all the people. I'll actually direct this more towards James.
Sure.
To start with, how do you feel about the idea of not having the extraneous two a days and the physicality like it had been in years past? Do you feel like that is going to benefit this team or be a detriment to this team?
It's kind of weird a little bit if you ask me because they only do a little bit of short practices. And first of all, good morning to Mike and good morning to Norm.
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 And,
And and good
thank you.
morning to Anthony. Hope you guys have a
Appreciate
good
you,
Saturday.
Ant. Good morning, brother.
And yeah, but I think the Eagles not practicing a lot is a little bit concerning because like yesterday, it kind of caught my eye a little bit with Jalen Hurts not looking good at practice yesterday. He was 8 for 15 yesterday, and I mean it's a little concerning. I mean it's a little concerning to see that he's not. I mean it's probably it was like a bad day yesterday. Obviously, practice. Like some days you're gonna have bad practices. I think that's perfectly normal in this day and age. But yeah, I think it's But if he has another bad practice or two or three more, then it's like okay, now we got to worry a little bit.
Yeah, so I will shoot it to Dame. Dame,
Mhm.
are you worried about those kind of stats that some of the writers are reporting about 8 for 15 and that Jalen doesn't look as sharp as we would expect? Is this something that worries you going forward, or do you feel like it's just practice?
No, I'm concerned. I'm concerned because, as I've expressed on our show many times, in order for me to get better, he needs to practice in the way he's going to play in the game. And yeah, I am talking about practice. I really am. And because he has new toys. This is second year in the program, and now remember he started the year off with Zach Ertz. Now it's just Goddard, and I like the kid Jackson. We'll talk about him later too, Joe. I want to bring him up, but he has some new toys, and I need him to be sharp. Picking it back off of what James was saying too, with these two of them, I'm okay with it not being the way it was back in, Dick Vermeil days or whatever. No disrespect, shout out to Dick Vermeil, but I'm okay with that because it's a different time, and these guys are doing OTAs, whereas though back then they weren't doing that. But I can't have 58 minutes of practice, Joe.
Now, I
No,
agree. I
Like
agree, Damon.
that doesn't like. What are we doing? I mean, I understand, soft tissue, I get all that. But at some point, you have to prepare not only for the season, but you have to prepare for the Detroit Lions.
yeah,
Yes.
and as an educator, I can tell you this: I always tell my students you can't study for 100 question exam in 15 minutes. You just
Mm-mm.
can't. There's no way you can squeeze all that information into 15 minutes and feel like you're going to succeed.
Right.
If you're only practicing for 58 minutes and you're going to play a conceivably 40, 60-minute game, and you're gonna play on that field, and you need to be focused. I feel like that is a telltale sign. You're giving these guys too much of a reprieve. Now I'm going to go to Cowboy Dave, because with all this naysaying that we're doing about how these two-a-days are happening or how soft some of these practice and training camps are, it must really get your hopes up that the Eagles are taking things for granted as a Cowboy fan. So my question to you, Dave, is, do you feel good about how Nick Sirianni is running his training camp as of late?
Not really. I don't think it's well, if it's 58 minutes doesn't, what does that do? It doesn't really prove anything. But my point is, here's the deal. August 12th's around the corner, guys. Okay, your first preseason game's around the corner. Are you going to see your quarterback in these preseason games? That's the question. I don't think he's going to play it down. If he does it, maybe the second game, the third at the most. Second game, at least the second game. He needs all the reps he can. I mean, if he doesn't practice these practices and they're going an hour and 10 minutes a day, he's not going to get much time. And that's not much time for a quarterback to get into his rhythm, find his receivers, do what he has to do to be on the field, for week one.
And I think what you said, Dave, is that's a very good line, because it's like practicing only a minute, an hour and 50 minutes can go so far. It's like you have to really get ready for the season, because it's like what you said in the beginning, Dame. It's that practice, that saying, practice makes perfect. That's basically what they have to do for the upcoming season. And we don't play well when we don't practice well. I mean, look, a couple of years ago we lost to the Lions, but that was with the other quarterback that we don't want to mention. But overall, I think it's you have to do better in practice, and just have to be you have to get better with practice. I totally agree, Dave.
I think it's all rhythm, and you have to find a rhythm with your receivers and your running backs and your offensive line. Like I said, now in 10 minutes, what does that do? It really doesn't do much if you think about it. It doesn't do much. I grant it. I see where coach is going with it, though. I mean, it is hot out there. The players are, probably,
How long are those Dallas Cowboy training camps? Because
they've been good. They've been going 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours a day. But I'm watching.
They're in Texas.
They're not in Texas. They're in California.
They're in California.
Still
hot. They go to Northern California.
Actually, they're in Oxnard. They're in Oxnard, California.
Oh, they're in Oxnard. They're in LA.
They're in Oxnard, and the weather actually out there has actually been 85, 86 degrees a day. So it hasn't been too bad to be practicing 2-3 hours and a half a day. Here, now granted, the weather has been hot. It's been 99 every day, the last few days of the week. And I could see Sirianni saying, okay, we'll go an hour and 10, we'll go an hour and 20. I get it. But in the long run, is that going to help you? I don't think so.
Well, for me, a couple of things to piggyback off what Dave said. One that concerns me is the possibility, Joe, of Jalen not playing in any of the preseason games, and maybe the second one, James. This concerns me about that.
Right.
And I know the answer to it because as I'm listening, I wrote it down. When do we get to the point of not playing these quarterbacks in the preseason game? Granted, I'm okay with the old system. Let them play, a little bit in the first game. I think Andy would have McNabb play, and because back then it was 4 preseason games. So I don't know if it was game 2 or game 3. He would play a whole half, but not at all game 4. Now I know there's only 3 preseason games. I'm okay if you were to go, like a series. No, not in the series. A quarter in the first preseason game. Give them a half in the second one, and that's fine. What they're doing, and this is why I said I know the answer. They're going, well, joint practices counts for a game. No, it does not.
No, it doesn't. No,
it does not.
Yeah.
Because in practice, never coached a football game or practice in my life. Been to, but I know it's stop and start.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the joint practices, get them and get. It's like I'm tired of the playing with the the crystal glass or whatever they call it, the fragile. It's a name I can't get the word out. But stop being so afraid. It's football.
Treating players like they're glass.
Like they're glass. It's football.
And here's what I'm going to say too, Dame, to add into what you're saying is with these joint practices, when you have that mentality of treating it like a game. Now, I could be wrong or right, but I believe that the quarterback's still wearing a red jersey, which means he's not getting hit.
You are correct, Joe.
And so therefore, how do we know how Jalen's going to deal with the first hit of the season? Look, I've always said this. I played sports, and I played a lot of physical sports. I played football and I played hockey. And you start a game, you feel good, you're skating or you're running, but the minute you get hit, it's like your body has to absorb that shock, that first shock. And then once that first hit's out of your system, once you've gotten that contact, then you're going. Then you're off to the races. But up until then, your body's still in this state of standard play. Like you could just run around or skate around. It's not the same thing. And for me, he needs to get popped. And I don't want my quarterback to get hurt, but he needs to get just one pop and he gets his adrenaline going. Because that's where I felt like the other quarterback that will remain nameless would get hit and then shrivel like a toilet paper roll. It would get really, really bad. But kind of piggybacking even more so to this degree, I'm going to ask this question. What kind of risers do you see players-wise? Do you see being a pleasant surprise out of the Eagles team this coming season? What players do you think is going to really shock the world?
Let me just piggyback off what you said. I'm gonna answer your question. Like me, in an actor doing theater, one of the things you do in rehearsal when you do theater, right? Because I like what you're saying, Joe. You have rehearsal, then you have what you call a check rehearsal, and in the check rehearsal, that's when the lights are up, everything, right? That works for the director, the actors, the tech crew. So you have to have that run. AKA preseason, I like what you said. He's wearing a red shirt. He's not getting hit. So I need him to taste that. We need him to, okay, this is going to feel like, this is how I know I'm going to respond. In terms of players, one that stands out, and someone made a point because they drafted him. I'm curious about Kenneth Gainwell. I'm really curious because Sanders is in his contract season, James, right?
Yep.
Didn't get a touchdown last year, and that's being talked about now.
Yeah. Has
a lot of ability. We understand that. Unfortunately, at times gets hurt. But Sirianni and his staff drafted Gainwell. So I'm curious to see how they use him and work from there. But yeah, that's probably my guy that I'm most interested to see, particularly with the running game.
James,
Joey, I'll get.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead, James. Go ahead.
No, you're good, buddy.
James, who do you see as that pleasant surprise that shocked the world?
It's plain and simple, man. My guy from Georgia, Nakobe Dean, man.
I saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah, right?
It was either going to be him or Jordan Davis.
One or the other.
I was waiting to see which dog he was going to pick.
If Jake Fromm was the quarterback, I would say Jake Fromm under center, but it's Stetson Bennett, but also on the side.
True.
But no, I think, what Nakobe Dean was doing a couple days ago and hearing him say about like how he was really annoyed that he got dropped to third round. And I'm like, that's going to light a spark in him. It's going to be like, yeah, you guys never gave a shit about me. You know what? I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And he's already been deemed the quarterback of that defensive line, of that defense.
Yeah,
They've
Joe.
already placed that title on Nakobe Dean.
Yeah. He's going to be out there calling.
So that's going to be very interesting. He's going to be calling audibles. He's going to be doing alignment changes. He's going to be doing a lot of things that he did in Georgia because they see what success he had. Now, Dave, I know you're a Cowboy fan, so I'll give you carte blanche for today. But I will ask you to choose a pleasant surprise that you think will happen for the Eagles, and I will also allow you to throw in a pleasant surprise for a Cowboy.
First of all, my surprise for the Eagles is going to be, I think Dallas Goedert steps up this year.
Okay.
I think he's going to have a good season as a tight end because I think if him and Hurts can connect, I think it could be a big season for Goddard. But going back to what they were saying, guys, I heard the other day that Miles Sanders was working with the second team. Is that correct? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, you heard it right. Yeah.
You heard it correct.
Okay. I thought I heard that right. Is that a concern to you guys?
Miles has been putting his foot in his mouth a lot this offseason. He's been putting his foot.
Telling me you're an all-star team and telling me you're this and that, but you're working with the second team? Am I missing something?
So here's the thing. He's working with those people because
I'm just asking. I don't know.
I get it. But he said these things previous, and you don't think the brass heard it? You think he was under a rock?
You're a so-called all-star team, but yet you're on the second round. I don't know.
Listen, this is a guy that in his own merit is working himself out of a job. Period. I know people want to sit there and go, but he's still a quality running back. I'm like, I only needed to see 2 plays from him last year that proved completely different. All you had to do was slide down in bounds, not go out of bounds twice. That's all you were yelled out from the sideline to just get down. Like the coach is running alongside you on the sideline, telling you to get down. You run out of bounds and hand them the football? No.
Joey, to answer my second part of the question, which you asked me what Cowboy I'm interested in, we just picked up a guy the other day from the USFL. He was MVP of the USFL, Cavante Turbin. He's a wide receiver from TCU. He's 5'9", 155. He's fast. He's quick, and he's going to turn some heads.
Sounds like special teams.
Special teams, yes. Punt returner, too. Yeah.
I love the fact that you said that name, and he was the MVP of the USFL, and Dave's first word was, who? Because, and then the fact that you're running down, he's 5'9",
5'9", 155.
155, so he can fall over with a strong enough.
Yeah, but he's fast as all can get, Joey. He's fast.
Okay, cool. But you know what they say about fast people with no weight, right? They break once the wind hits them.
He's a Brian Westbrook.
Whoa!
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Nah, stop it.
Don't do
that. He's going to be a Brian Westbrook. I'm telling you.
You look at Brian Westbrook's dimensions. Don't do that. I'm a Temple guy, and that's a Nova guy. But
go back and watch highlights. No, I've watched highlights of this kid at TCU. I'm telling you, watch him. He was Washington General. I'm sorry, a TCU guy. I'm telling you, watch highlights of this kid. He's fast as all can get. He can run. I'm telling you. And when he breaks off,
what happens when he gets hit hard? Does he get back up?
I think he will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Just remember that name, Cavante. Dave, remember that name, Cavante Turbin. Just remember that name, Cavante Turbin.
You know how we'll remember the name? His number will be under Jordan Davis's cleat. That's how we'll remember it.
If he can catch him, good luck.
No, he won't need to.
The guy plays for TCU where they play Nevada, Allen Lane.
Dave,
he's a punt returner, and he can fly. I'm telling you.
He better be able to fly, like literally.
Yeah, but you're telling us he's Brian Westbrook.
I'm just saying. No, I said he runs low. No, I'm not saying I'm saying he runs low like Westbrook. He cuts through tackles. He's quick like that.
I thought you were comparing on the Westbrook. I was like, okay. I mean, that's
no. I'm not putting him in the Westbrook category. I'm saying he's just small. He's quick, and he runs like Westbrook.
I got you. That's better.
In that area.
That's better.
I'm not putting him in the Westbrook category. I'm just saying he runs like
one of my breakouts, one of my shock the world kind of things, and I'm a defensive guy, and this is my shock the world. I think Mr. Bradbury is going to light the world on fire
Joey, stop.
because
CeeDee Lamb made him look stupid last year. But go ahead.
who made who look stupid?
I said CeeDee Lamb made him look stupid last year, so that's all good. But go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. But who did Bradbury? Bradbury was the one last year. He's
He
the
came from
two
the
now.
Giants.
Right,
I get it.
He's the two, so he's not going to go against CD Lamb. That's
True.
Mr. All Day Slay.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Oh, you mean no play Slay? But okay, good.
Okay. So you could see CD and see your way on out. But my point is this: is Bradbury is going to light the world on fire because Slay is going to put so much pressure, and that defensive front is going to put so much pressure. There are going to be balls thrown without the quarterback really being set. So off the back foot, off balance. If they're not going to throw at Slay, because here's the problem. They already know what they get with Slay. And just like you're, going on about Bradbury and what CeeDee Lamb did, everyone's taking this guy lightly. Don't. Because this guy, he bet on himself this year. He took a pay cut with a 1-year deal. There's a reason why he did that. Not to be an Eagle next year, not to be an Eagle for 4 more years. No, so he could get a payday. So he could go somewhere and get straight out paid. But he has to prove it. And he wasn't going to prove it with the Giants. That was a given. The Giants
I like players that bet on themselves. That's good. I like that. Because Dak did the same thing. He bet on himself too when he got his contract. I like
right.
that.
And so you have to understand, when you're a player and you bet on yourself, it can work out for yourself, and sometimes it's a bust. I mean,
it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
But I go back to like DeMarco Murray when he went to the Titans after the Eagles, and he was like, "Well, I'm going to take a pay cut because I'm going to bet on myself," and then he became obsolete.
Yeah,
and so it can go both ways. The sword can cut both ways.
Oh, sure.
So the one question that to wrap up the Eagles section of this program, I want to ask this serious question: out of the offense, defense, and coaches, what section of this team are you most hoping to succeed? The coaching, the offense, or the defense? What section of this team is going to carry this team to the promised land? Dame, I'll start with you.
I as much as we've been talking about Jalen Hurts, of course, which is the obvious. Of course, the addition of AJ Brown and Goddard getting a solid starting position at tight end and all the other weapons. I have to go back to the defense, Joe, and the reason why, because like you and many others, we're not a fan of Gannon's, and it was constantly placed upon us. Oh, he didn't have the weapons. He didn't have this. He needed that. And now, and I don't know this to be true. I have no knowledge of this, but I believe he had an input on some of the players that they did pick on defense. I think, however much I don't know, and if at all, but I got this feeling, I'll say, that he had an input to get the players that he wanted, and I'm okay with the players that he has. I'm liking what I'm seeing on paper, but I want to see that. I need that. For me as an Eagle fan, that defense, I mentioned it last week, I need that nastiness when we go down to Texas Stadium, when we go into, down in D.C., when we go to the Giants, like just our division alone, let alone other teams we have to play. I want that defense to come in there with that, wow, we're about to face the Eagles defense. And he needs to establish that early and often.
James, what about you? What section of this team do you think will carry us to the promised land? The offense, the defense, or the coaching?
I would have to say the defense, frankly, Joe. I think the defense is really stacked with a lot of players that they got on the team, like countless, like we just talked about, Nakobe Dean, James Bradbury, and so on and so forth. But they look like they're better than they were defensively. But the only thing that kind of worries me a little bit is that how would Jonathan Gannon make this work? And that's the big question that I gotta say, is that if this is like they're going to take them to the promised land. It's going to be Jonathan Gannon's defense leading the way.
All right, so Dave, I will throw that same question to you. What do you think is going to have to be the key section that needs to come through the most out of offense, defense, and coaching for the Eagles to get them further than getting whomped in the first round?
I think defense takes care of itself for the Eagles. They know what they're going to do there. They're fine there. Not even a question. I think it's the offense, Joey. I really do.
Okay.
I think Jalen Hurts has to step up. They really need to. The offense just got to click for the Eagles to go. I mean, if the offense clicks, I mean, like I said, defense will take care of itself. Jonathan Gannon, he'll coordinate, do what he has to do. I mean, like I said, Nakobe Dean, Cox, the whole 9 yards. Slay. That defense is gone. That defense scares me more than anything. I got to be honest. But for them to win, the offense. It's got to be the offense.
So I'm kind of going a little bit of the opposite. I'm going to say the coaches, and this is why. This past week, there's been a little bit of a flashback moment, so to speak, in Eagles training camp. There's been the term that every Eagle fan hates to hear ever since Vince Young said it, and that's the dream team.
Stop with that team.
And let's be clear. The expectations of what this team are in front of them, with the talent that they have on their roster, you don't win games on paper. I get it. But I do know that they have talent on both sides of the football. Where I think this comes in, the way that this team can get to the promised land, the section that needs to really step up, in my mind, is coaching. Because you can have all the talent in the world. If your coaches can't put these players in the right positions. If Tom were here, the one thing he said to me when we went on that run, and even after we went on that run to the Super Bowl, he said, it was Frank Wright. You can say it was Doug Peterson, but it was Frank Wright. And it was, all those coordinators under Peterson that really helped them get to where they were, where they became champions, because those coordinators, those coaches put those players, those talented players, in the right position to succeed. And Nick Sirianni is saying, I'm going to be kind of the manager, the game manager, the decision maker. I have my offensive coordinator is going to make the offensive calls, and Gannon's going to make the defensive calls. And he's going to evaluate those guys because, in my mind, all these coaches, in exception of Nick Sirianni for right now, are on the hot seat in my mind. Because if Gannon can't get this team, this defense, to thrive, and he says, well, we're just not gelling and we're not and just giving excuses. No, dude, look, you have guys on that defense that are absolute horses. Now you have to show by how you coach, by the placements in which you put these guys, that then they can succeed. And that's where I feel like this is a prove-it year for all those coaches on that coaching staff. I don't care how much you want to throw excuses and how long things are, and how many flowers you want to plant, and how many like really crappy T-shirts you want to wear. Listen, you need to be able to prove it on the field.
All right, you know what? I'm sticking with my defense, but you when you mentioned Joe the coaches, Steichen sticks out to me.
Yeah,
and the only reason because he now has he's calling the plays, right? So so it's like a two tails. Like definitely with the defense, I'm sticking, but then there's the other eye. Like, let me see what you call. And an example, let's say Jalen's on a roll throwing the ball, right? And he's, I don't know, 4 for 4. And depending on the field, do you continue to throw the ball? Or if the running game's working, do you continue to do that? Mix it up depending on what the defense throws at you. So I'm just curious to see, if you get a lead, do you sustain the lead? How do you know what I mean? Things like that. Are you planning not to lose? So this, to your point, and this actually supports what you're saying, Joe. Everyone's on the take because Steichen now, hey man,
it's your thing to lose.
Yeah, you're driving it.
Yep.
Yeah, you're driving that bus on that side of the field. Gannon, we're looking at you because, hey, you said you didn't have the pieces. James backed me up. Everybody sees it. You have your pieces. Let's see what you can do. So, yeah, I get you with that. I can see that for sure.
And
Joey,
keep in
I have a
mind,
question, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Keep in mind when the gears changed in the Eagles season, and we all saw it in week 8, week 9 when they were going to start running. That's when Nick Sirianni handed off the play calling to Steichen. So, was it Sirianni that rescued the season, or was it Steichen? That's what we're going to see this season. Was it Steichen's scheme, or was it Nick just kind of, saying, okay, this didn't work. I'll work with Steichen to change the scheme, and we'll go from there.
But
Dave, what did you have to say?
My question is Minshew still the backup?
Yeah.
Yes, for now.
And is Carson Strong the third string?
Yes.
Okay.
Here, the rumors are swirling, however, that Minshew could be on the block because right now, I mean, think about it from the perspective of what we dealt with Joe Flacco last year.
Right.
I don't think anybody really thought Joe Flacco was going to make it through the whole season as an Eagle. And we got a draft pick for him, a higher draft pick than we thought we'd get. So it was a good return. Now, with Gardner Minshew, he's no Joe Flacco in a lot of different ways, but he's a very serviceable player. And in my mind, he's better than Taylor Heineke. And
starter.
So Minshew's two strongest three is what I'm trying to say. Is that true?
Yeah, but I feel like you could see Carson Strong move into that second string role if Minshew gets moved, and then you would see somebody possibly out of the practice squad, because I don't feel like Howie's done wheeling and dealing yet. Not necessarily in the offseason. He's done that, but like there's always moves to be held before the first game.
No, yeah, he'll definitely he definitely has his eyes open on something.
Yeah.
And you can even feel the joke.
Will Carson Strong be? Will Carson Strong? Sorry, Dane.
No, you're good.
Will Carson Strong be on the roster come week 1? That's my question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go too, Dave. Like, so, I mean, obviously due to injury, he wasn't even drafted. Now I think about it, they picked him up.
Right, they picked him up. Right,
undrafted free agent, whatever.
I know he has bad knees, but I was just wondering, But go ahead.
Yeah, so no, that's a fair question. So I'm just curious to see him. I'm being honest with you, because the Eagles seem to have like this way of finding like this kid Jackson, that tight end. Strangely enough, Dave, his back got hurt. He injured his back, and he was on the IR, And so, because it was a roster deal, and they did not want to put him because they figured he was going to get picked up, maybe by you guys. No. Somehow, I don't know if you remember this, Joe. He was back on the roster towards the end of the season. Didn't play as much, but somehow he got off the IR. So I'm really curious. Like, the Eagles have some like droplets of guys who, I'm curious to see them play during the preseason.
So it's interesting you bring him up, Dame, because I did an article for this past draft coverage that we had on Jeffrey Gunter. And the one thing I did not know when I was doing the article on Jeffrey Gunter, I ran into Jackson's name, because Jackson came from the same team as Gunter in Coastal Carolina. But what I also didn't know is Jackson, because I knew Jackson as a tight end, like we put him. But he wasn't always an offensive player. He actually came from the defensive side. He was a fellow linebacker with Jeffrey Gunter on that Coastal Carolina team. And you want to talk about Dave brought up TCU. You want to talk about a team in Coastal Carolina that doesn't make a lot of headlines, but they were a 2-win team, and they converted their season from a 2-win team to a 10-win team.
Wow.
Because of their defense.
It was on that team. Okay, wow.
So this guy, that's why I really like Jeffrey Gunter for the Eagles, because I said, man, they showed success, and I know Jackson's on the offense, but, if that pedigree is as strong as, in that college, And on that team, as they shown with their record, then whew. But we missed out on Gunter. But fellas, James, we got to pay some bills, folks.
Yeah, let's go.
Yes, we do. And if you have a workers' compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal law, check out David R. Cherry, Esquire, and call now for a, I guess, like, I don't know how to describe it, but if you have any of those things, you can check out David R. Cherry at www.cherryhillnj. Cherry Hill, God. Anyway, David
Injurylaw.com.
565-0300. And also, if you can check out Bird's trips, Philly sports trips with the Bird's trip to Washington on September the 25th. Lower level ticket, including bus, food, drink, and entertainment for only $325. And see Carson Wentz go down in week 3. It'll be a bittersweet day for anybody to go to that. But other than that, what else we got in store today, Joey?
So let's move on to your Philadelphia Phillies. A little bit of blue and red. Here's my biggest question. So the Phillies came off 2 straight wins against the Pirates, a nice series win against the Braves, and they have another short stint series coming up against the Braves. So the Phillies are kind of getting off that schneid of getting swept by the Cubs. Look, I feel like that Cubs series was just getting back into the trenches. And so
you would.
Yeah, well, but here's my feeling. Here's my question to all you guys. Dombrowski and the trade deadline coming up this coming week. How aggressive do you see Dombrowski? He's already been on record saying that there are some high talented players out there, but he's not willing to give up some of his high talented prospects. He's not willing to sell the farm in order to get 1 year a rental deal. Not this soon into the team's tenure. So my question to you guys is, how aggressive do you see Dombrowski leading up to the trade deadline? Dave, how about you?
I've been saying this for months. They need another arm in the bullpen. I think I know he's hot right now, Joey, and I know you're a Hoskins guy, but if you get rid of him now,
who won the game last night? Who?
Joey, I get it. Okay, so he had one good game. I get it. But my point being is, if you get rid of him now, you can get a good arm into the bullpen, help us out, because Mr. Familia is not the deal.
I've been hearing that Reese is going to cool down seemingly for the last 4 weeks.
Joey,
he's going to cool down. He's going to cool down. He's going to don't seem like it.
Like I said, he's got a hot bat, so if you're going to get rid of him, now's the time to do it.
I've been hearing that for a while, though, and I mean, no fish are biting. So, I'd be curious to see if they're – look, I agree with you in the sense, and many people, including Matty B, when I said that there is a overload, a plethora of talent that we could put at first base.
Mm-hmm.
Reese is not the only game in town for that. And so that kind of gives us an open leash to kind of throw him out there and see what we can get back. Not to mention that any team that does pick him up still would have control over him for another year until his arbitration. So, like, that's kind of a incentive, if you will. But there was something that I just feel like Dombrowski, he's only going to move Reese, or he's only going to move JT, or he's only going to move some big name unless he gets a really viable big name back. And I'm not sure people are going to bite on that, because first base, it's not a need position. I mean, it's not like no offense, Reese, but it's not a high talented position. It's
like
not
I said,
the
you
hot
put that
corner, and it's not the outfield.
But if you give that kid Derek Hall a chance, man, I'm telling you.
I agree.
I mean, and he's the future.
You got Derek Hall. You could put JT back on there because
there's a lot of options. They have options. I know he's hitting for average. I know he's on a roll. I get it. But do you trust him at third? Yes. I sure heck don't.
Yes,
I do not. I do not trust that kid at third base to save my life.
James, sit back, relax. This is going to get interesting.
Not happening.
Listen, I heard what you said on the group text. You're out of your mind. I've been telling people for as long as this season has gone on, from Matty B to you to Pat Bernard to anybody, Alec Baum is the truth. Now, look, he put
the truth in what? He is for average. He has a good job. I'm not saying his bat's not bad, Joey. I don't have a problem with his bat. I have no problem with his bat. None.
Hits for average, but he's like the fourth or fifth best average batter in the NL, pretty much.
Okay,
like,
I get it.
There. He's not doing nothing. He's batting
Joey,
400 since June 1st.
If we're in a playoff game, do you want that kid at third base? Really? Seriously.
How many errors, really, Dave? How many errors has he really committed?
He's had his share, Joe. Come on now.
Since the 3-error game, he's had like maybe 3 errors since then. That's not a ton. I mean, Rhys, if anything, you have a better case for Rhys Hoskins to be gone because of his errors.
Okay.
You have a better case for that than Alec Baum. And listen, and I have a question about that later. So you just hold your horses. So Dame, I'll shoot that question to you next.
Sure.
Do you see Dombrowski being aggressive coming up on the trade deadline?
So, when we finish off with the Pirates, we have the Braves next, the Nats, the Marlins, and then the Mets. So you're facing. What's that?
The whole NL East.
the whole NL East, right? and then 2 of the team, one you may not catch, 2 of them you may not catch, but you don't want to fall any further behind. Joe, I'm getting the feeling he's definitely going to make a deal, but I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. And just listen to what you and Dave were saying. I've been a proponent of not trading Rhys, particularly right now. I know Gene Segura, he had a hit the other night in AAA, so he should be back up.
He's getting closer,
next week. Yeah, so that's going to change the dynamic of the lineup. You clearly still missing Harper, and that's why I wouldn't, like someone said on one of the shows, you don't move Rhys now. You may move him in the off season if you have to, but right now it doesn't make any sense. And as far as Bohm, I like the kid, man. I at one time would like for him to see hit more home runs because of his height, but I like that he can hit the ball. He was on a 12-game, 13-game hitting streak, something like that, and he's impactful right now for what he's doing, and he's gotten his confidence. I like to see a player, particularly homegrown. I love my homegrown players that go through adversity and turn it around. The other thing is, he struggles at third base. We all see it, but he made a great play the other day catching the ball. He owns up to it. And then, Dave, we have that. We're the days of patience. With these young athletes, man. We have to have it. You can't. I listen to sports talk radio and constantly, let's move this player. Let's trade this player. Let's give up Maxey. Dude, at some point, you have to stick with what you have so that you can grow those players. You can't keep trading players every 2 years. Oh, it's going to get to the money. Let the management worry about that. Is Rhys Hoskins hurting us? No. He's actually helping. So why would I trade Rhys? Listen, I like Hall. I like the kid. I don't know what he is at first base. Why am I going to thrust him into that position and I'm literally in a playoff race? No. Let him stay in his role, right? I want playoff baseball. That's it. That's all I want.
It's been 11 years since we've seen playoff baseball on the
Yes, I want playoff baseball. I got to go to a game before my son goes off to school the 21st. I got to take him to it. I love baseball. I want to see playoff baseball. So I don't need all this movement. Let's keep what we have. We're going to bring Gene back. We're going to bring back Harper at some point. Yes, we need pitching. Familia, the other night, I felt bad for him. It was 8-2. 8-2. And you gave up 5 runs? Six runs?
5 runs.
Yes, 5 runs. 8-7 was the game.
Yeah, 5 runs.
Dude, you're walking people. I'd be honest. So I'm watching the game. They got it. I just step away. I come back. Bases are loaded. And he's pitching.
Well, and this is what I'll say, because this has been brought up several times
What
during
the
some of
what?
the broadcasts. Would
Hold on, real
Familia,
quick. I thought they was going to send him down the next day, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, that's where I'm actually going to. So I'm glad you're bringing it up, that you're thinking about that. I go to like Alvarado, and some of the mechanics he had issues with, and they sent him down to AAA to work on some of his mechanics to get his confidence back up. And now look at him. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and go Alvarado's like this great reliever,
He does throw hard, Joey. I'll give you that much.
but he's gotten better. And I mean, he's gotten more confidence from me. Like, I feel more confident in what he's doing now versus what he did before. So maybe Familiar needs to go down and work on mechanics. Look, if he were to go down now, he could still come up for the September call-ups with everybody else coming up. And my mind is, you have people that you can place in this bullpen. I'm still a big proponent in seeing more from this Francisco Morales kid. Like, I feel like we have to bring him up. I want to see more out of him, because just the little window that I saw, I didn't feel like it was enough. Like, I don't want to write the kid off, but I don't want to praise him either, because it's not a long enough sample size.
I like that kid Nelson. I think Nelson's doing a great job. Honestly.
Nick Nelson is doing a great job. And I feel like, Brad Hand is settling in. I think a lot of guys, because of the way that Rob Thompson has kind of managed this team and managed the ship, I feel like he has settled down this bullpen greatly. And I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. You could look at the ERA for the bullpen prior to Rob Thompson taking over and look at the ERA of the bullpen after Rob Thompson took over, and it's night and day. James, I'm going to shoot this question to you. Will the expectations of this team change if Harper does not return by the end of this season?
That's the thing, man. It's kind of like a little bit concerning if like say for example Harper doesn't come back, but you definitely need him in the playoffs if you're going to make a playoff run, though, because like he's a big bat that comes out clutch, comes out clutch in playoff position. And I think the other thing too is that what Harper, like, maybe if you don't have a setback, maybe it'll be a good thing. But then who are you gonna send back down? I mean, Derek Hall looks good. I mean, maybe you probably bench Castellanos because he's not been playing very well. But I think the hardest thing is, though, when he comes back, it's going to be it's going to be pretty big.
News came out today. I mean, news came out this week about Harper not being able to get his screws out. Yeah,
they were scheduled to take the pen. They were scheduled to take the pens out last week, and they had to hopefully
take them
out this coming week.
I saw a video where Mr. Harper was down in Wawa in Ocean City a few days ago.
So the interesting thing is, from a guy who already still has pins in his body and in me, I have pins and a metal plate in my ankle from when I broke it.
Fixated on my foot.
So from a guy who's got pins like that, surgeons tend to not want to take them out too early because then it heals incorrectly. They want to make sure that sucker heals correctly, especially like Harper himself said, you need a thumb to play baseball. You just do. I mean, it's a difference. So, I go back to something Frank said last week, and that was if Harper doesn't come back, and he probably shouldn't in some ways, to kind of get himself right, whether it's just with the thumb or with it being other situations with the elbow and whatnot. If he doesn't come back, I don't think it lowers the expectations of what this team can do, because they've already they have winning record without Harper in there. Not to diss Harper, because we still need the MVP
and without Gene.
And so that makes it feel like this team can gel and go forward. Now, do I think they're a World Series contender? No, but if they never get Harper back this season, I can still conceivably see them winning a series.
And no one
Hey
touched
guys, I have a question for everybody. I want you to answer this question for me. I was actually talking to Matty B about this last night on the final because I was with him last night. Here's my question: when Gene Segura comes back, okay, Bryson Stott, does he go to shortstop or do you keep Didi there?
Well,
no.
They're sending Didi now. I don't know, man. It's
because I'm seeing it as if I know Didi's bat hasn't been the greatest, and I understand that, but Didi's defense at short is
really
good.
Really good.
So my point being is, do you put Stott at short, or do you keep Didi out of the lineup? What do you do?
I think you keep Stott at short, honestly. But
Okay.
I even think maybe that won't happen right away. I can tell you that right now because they're not going to throw Gene into the deep end with some of the setbacks that Gene has had.
I know he actually played a game yesterday, I think it was, or 2 days ago, something like that.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
It was yesterday. And the day before.
But I mean, that's the thing. You don't want to throw because he's re-aggravated that injury once or twice before.
Right.
Gene has. So you don't want to throw him into the deep end that quickly. But in the long haul, I could see Gene playing second and Stott playing shortstop. And then you have Didi. That's a great bench piece. I mean, I know that I hate to say it like that because he is a lot of money. But, Dame has said this once before about Tobias. Don't worry about the money. Worry about the talent. Like, the talent has got to be there. And it is. But, man, Didi has struggled a lot this year. I mean, we talked about Alec Baum and what he hasn't done with the long ball. Didi's only got one home run.
One home run.
One.
That's not good enough.
No.
For a guy who's getting paid that much.
As bad as his bat has been, his defense has not been that bad.
Yeah,
so do you pick defense over the bat?
I don't agree with that at all. I honestly don't. Because there were a couple games consecutively prior to the All-Star break where Didi's made some really bad blunders where he forgot.
Yeah, but he's made some good plays too in the past, Joe.
I agree. But this is where if you're holding Alec Baum's feet to the fire, about certain mistakes, I'm gonna hold Didi's feet to the fire for those mistakes too. That's the thing. That's the difference. That the sword cuts both ways.
So you're putting Stott at short. Is what you're saying?
I'm putting Stott at short once Gene's ready.
And like to Joey's point, and I'm hoping when they playoffs, that'll be a great bench piece to have. Particularly he has experience.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to ask you guys this. It came across me yesterday. Oh, the Familia when he was, and then they had to bring in Sir Anthony, and they didn't want to. So I get it with Sir Anthony because of the surgery last year, right? But why is it? I just get this feeling, not just with the Phillies, just all of baseball. They treat these bullpen guys like glass dolls. Like, Sir Anthony pitched. He threw James 4 pitches in an inning, so he can't play for the next 2 days. Like, what? So I always tell my wife, right? Like on our old TV, I would take it to the repair shop. And the guy looked at it and goes, there's nothing you can do with the TV. You might as well get a new one. So I'm like, what good are you guys? You're a TV repair shop, but you never fix televisions. All you say is, go get a new one. It's not worth repairing. So how the hell are you in business? So it's the same with these relief pitchers. You have them, but he can't. No, he pitched 2 days ago. He threw 8 pitches. No. Gotta rest him. I don't get that.
I think we have to report that TV repair shop to the Better Business Bureau. But that's me.
I'm like, how would you go there? Oh yeah, now we can do it. Dude, you can't. How are you?
Let's not name it on air. Let's say that.
No, I don't even remember the name. I'm just saying, I don't remember. But just like you go to TV and they can never fix them. Now it's like these new TV, I don't know how, whatever with those. But no, these relievers, man, it's a constant. We couldn't pitch them tonight. So. I get it that you can't pitch them every night, but they're only pitching an inning.
James, I'll let you lead that because you and your father have made some very, great comments when it comes down to pitching and kind of like the coddling that's going on. I believe the quote you and your dad have is they don't have pitchers, they have throwers.
Yeah.
So, like, tell me why, to answer Dame's question and concerns, tell me why these managers treat these bullpen guys like, they coddle them so much.
Well, the thing about it is that I think it's like really true logic is that they like when they like back in the day like you will have like your setup man and your middle reliever and your closer. Now it's like we don't even know like there's like not I mean back like going back to like let's say I don't know like the 2008 World Series run you got Scott Air and Chad Durbin and Ryan Madsen and Brad Litch and they shut the door. Now you got like these so many throwers. It's like that. I mean, the throwers. It's like it's. I don't want to say it's bad for baseball, but it's not good either when you're throwing your arm out and then you have to go to Tommy John the next following off season because you just blow out your arm. That's how old they are, and it's not common 101 baseball anymore. I think it's just that's the hardest thing about this new logic. It's like I mean, I don't want to say it's bad for the sport, but it's not good for business either.
James, you think they're teaching him to throw the ball? Because everybody wants this. The gun. He threw a 101. I remember when Billy Wagner was here, and it was like if he didn't throw Dave 100, they were mad.
He was throwing 101. Billy Wagner, man, my God.
It was like a shock.
Well, it was like Mitch. Mitch had a good arm. He knew we could throw it, but it was like one of those pitches where you knew he was going to throw it. It was just only where it was going to go. We're going to go. Where's the pitch going to go? We don't know.
I go back to a part of something that was said by John Smoltz on commentary a couple days ago, and it's sometimes these farm systems and sometimes these managers and pitching coaches focus so much on power and not enough on placement. You can throw a 99, 100 mile an hour fastball, but the problem is if you throw it like Alvarado did, and it's like 3 feet over the catcher's head, it doesn't make any sense. Good for you, you broke the gun, but that doesn't make a difference if it's not a strike. I go back to something Randy Johnson did when he pitched. This is a guy, Randy Johnson, that was like a unicorn in his day.
Awesome.
He basically could consistently hit 96, 97 as a starting pitcher. Yeah. But on top of that, he could place it anywhere he wanted. Yeah. And it didn't matter, what you wanted to do. It was going to be what he was going to give you.
Yeah.
And I think that's lost in nowadays. I think all these pitching coaches are like, okay, we have to get the fastest or the hottest throwing arm out there. And it's like, okay, but what about placement? Oh, we'll worry about that later. Mm-hmm. It's like, wait a minute. If he can throw a ball, but he can't throw a ball for a strike, then what does it matter if he hits 101 on the clock, on the meter? It's like, that doesn't matter to me. I mean, I think this is a fad with the speed. You look at I think it kind of really emanated, at least recently, with Chapman, Aroldis Chapman, when he hits 104, he everyone's like, we got to get that guy. We got to get the next Aroldis Chapman.
I agree. Because it was eye popping. I mean, look, that's James brought up the 08 Phillies. So Jamie Moore, who had no speed, the antithesis of speed, right?
59 hours fastball.
One of his pitches is still trying to cross the plate.
But he can place the ball, right? He can place it.
He can. Sure.
Right, Dave? And so
sure.
That's what. Listen, and I don't think we're saying we're not opposed to the speed. None of us are. I like it. Like it's dope. Like that's like yo. But I like James sharing that. The throwers. No, I need you to pitch. Real quick, going back to Randy Johnson, man. Sorry that team couldn't win. You had A-Rod. You had King Griffey Jr. You had damn Joey. Who else? It was another outfielder. That team was nice, man. They couldn't win.
Yeah, and I mean that was a quality team, and the fact that with Randy Johnson, he was a guy that at that era people were just like, people wanted to put him in the same class as Roger Clemens at that in that era, but Randy had such a different poise on the mound than Roger. Roger just bullied the batters. and I think
Yep.
Randy just played with them. It was like
Yeah.
a cat playing with a mouse. Like that was the way that
what is he, 6'7", something like that?
he was 6'8", I believe.
6'8",
6'8",
yeah,
6'9", something like that.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
a very tall pitcher. And
Mhm.
you know, like that's the thing is I had asked a friend because like baseball's not my strongest suit. I'm like, he was that tall, but he also had a long wingspan.
Yeah.
Someone had once said to me that by the time he released the ball, it was more than halfway to the plate.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
You got to understand that's not a lot of time to react as
None.
a batter. Yeah, because you're waiting for that ball to be released. Because a pitcher could like flick his pinky, flick his wrist, and all of a sudden that ball is spinning and it's a cutaway or a slider or whatnot. So you have to wait for that ball to leave his hand.
Yeah.
And if that ball's not leaving his hand that close to you, that's challenging.
Yeah.
But this next question is one of Dave's favorite questions for today's show. What upcoming player on this Philadelphia Phillies team, do you see being this future star going forward? You have a couple choices. You have Bryson Stott, Derek Hall. You have Dave's favorite guy, Alec Baum. Or you have someone else that you guys might have in mind. But which guys do you think are not just a flash in the pan, that they are the stars going forward for this team, for this club? Dame, I'll start with you.
I think I'm gonna say this: a guy that's on the rise, and I think if he continues to get more play, Bryson Stott can definitely improve. But Alec Bohm, man, Alec Bohm is to me right now. I think when he was sent down last year, that did something to him in a good way,
Right.
and he came back up this year, and you know he's proven he's able to stay. He's able to, as Charlie Manuel would say, you know, you play big league baseball. So he's my guy, and I'm a fan too. So. You know, like I said, I would say Bone for me.
James, who do you think out of Derek Hall, Stott, Baum, or other? Who do you think is the riser? Who's going to be the linchpin for the future? We're going to see in a Phillies pinstripes for the next 5 or 6 years.
I gotta go with Bryson Stott. I think he's just a very good player. I mean, the last couple games that he had, was very, very phenomenal. I mean, the Phillies were. What was it a couple days ago? The Phillies were trailing, and like he hit a home run to tie the game. It's like that kid has a lot of power to become a really good player in this league. I think he can be really, really good. So I got to go with Stott.
Dave, who do you say?
It's a tough call, Joey. There's a lot of it's tough. I'm going to say Derek Hall. I think Derek Hall's the real deal. You got to let this kid play. Let him, because the more he plays, the more I'm saying home runs, but the more hits he's going to get. He can be your future first baseman. As of Stott, James, I'm still not a believer in Stott. He's in 185. Come on. Really. Seriously, he's 185. You can't give me that.
But he is clutch. That's the thing.
His defense is good. I'm not giving you that, but but as in the long run, Derek Hall's the guy. Absolutely, definitely.
So I've been bouncing back and forth with this question. I'm between Alec Baum and Bryson Stott for a couple different reasons. Baum because, like we've already kind of said, this guy has overcome so much adversity. The beginning of the season, the way that he did, with what was said, with how this city reacted, with how the player reacted. This is still a young guy, and we've seen young guys in this city fold under pressure. One's in Brooklyn, and good riddance to that guy.
One's in DC.
Yes. These guys fold under pressure, and they leave town. That maybe voluntarily or by force. So I will tell you this. Alec Baum basically could have folded up his tent and played the Simmons and Wentz story, and he could have been another chapter in that story. But here's the thing. He didn't. And now he is one of the best hitting players on this team. I still feel like
consistent.
Yes, I still feel like, and I said this to Matty B and Matt. If you're listening or you watch this later, look up in the archives for the final episodes. I said to you months ago that they should possibly think about putting Alec Baum at leadoff, because that would give, with him being on base and Schwarber coming up, the Schwarberian would have probably, instead of 60 some RBIs, would already have 100. I'm sorry, that's the truth. We probably would have more wins in that case too.
So basically, what you're saying is put Schwarber down in the lineup. We get it.
No. I would just move to 2. I would just.
I'm saying put him at 2 or 3. I get it.
Two.
Two.
I don't need that. 2-run home run. Look, I don't know if I believe.
That's a Segura move. It was Segura's your 2 always.
Okay, but Segura's not playing right now.
But I'm saying, but when he's in the lineup, he's your 2.
Yeah, I could agree with that. But and perhaps that could be a move, because I go back to we talk about the 08, 07 Phils. Think about the 1 and 2. You had Victorino and Rollins. What were they great at? Being on base. Then you had Ryan Howard and Chase Utley and all those guys, the power bats, that one of them was going to hit a home run, or one of them was going to hit a double. And that's what you got. That's where I feel like Castellanos has to kind of step up and maybe just stay in his role. I know people want to see him hit the long ball, but if he's hitting doubles with guys on base, that's still RBIs.
Sure.
That's still producing.
Oh, yeah. I just wish he stopped swinging at the first pitch.
I agree. I think he's taking too much of that Schwarber mentality.
He chased that outside pitch every single time. It's there. He chases it.
I think
Dan, you see it every time. Come on, you see it all the time. He chases that pitch.
Dave. They scouted him out. Oh, he's swinging first pitch. Throw this at him.
I think he's taking too much the approach like Schwarber, but he's not hitting like Schwarber. That's the difference. You can't swing like Schwarber if you're not hitting like Schwarber.
Joey Schwarber's hitting 204. Come on, really?
You know what?
Excuse you.
I mean, come on.
Excuse you.
He has 30 home runs. I get it. He's hitting 205. Joey, 205. Come on, give me a break.
31.
And
Yeah, but how many guys? How many of them are single home runs without? Come on, Joey. Really?
I'm not arguing with that. That's why I said Baum should be leadoff. I'm not arguing with that. Me and Matty have talked about that. I'm not arguing with that. But
he's hitting 205.
But my point is this: is he the league leader in the NL for home runs?
What does that have to do with anything? And yet we're still in third place, 9.5 out of the Mets. That means a lot. Let me tell you. Yeah. Okay.
Who may get Trout. Did you hear that one?
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, Joey's like, yeah. No, I don't know. Listen, man.
Listen, I've heard those rumors for the last year and a half, and I'm going to stop getting my hopes up for something like that to happen. If Dombrowski pulls that off, he will surpass every GM that's ever been here.
No, so I heard but then I thought I heard that Trout may go to the Mets. But the other guy, who's the pitcher over there, that hits?
McGillis?
No, the pitcher for the Angels.
Ohtani.
They may be moving him.
I heard that. I heard that too.
Yeah, because they don't want to. They can't pay him, so they have to figure out whether. And his arbitration and his contract will be coming up soon, so they know they can't pay him with what they have on that roster.
That's what it was. They say he may go to the Mets. I got that wrong.
How about Castillo going to the Mariners, guys? Did you hear that?
That doesn't surprise me all that much. I mean,
for 4 players, wow, that was huge.
Well,
listen, big player.
It's going to get more desperate as we get closer to the trade deadline, and so my feeling is the guy you're going to see in pinstripes going forward is going to be Bryson Stott, and I tell you why. The guy is athletic. The guy needs to trust himself a little bit more at the plate.
That's what I have in him. That's what I'm not saying. He doesn't trust himself.
Here's why I say that, and not just because of like his batting average, Dave, but like if you ever notice, he widens out his stride when he gets down in the count, and every time he widens out his stride, he actually puts the ball over the fence. Now, Kevin Long, the hitting coach for the Phillies, has said, "You're strong enough to get it over the fence. Why are you worried? You're strong, dude. Don't worry about like the outfielders catching it. Let you worry about all that stuff later. You got enough power to get it over the fence without a stride. So just do it. I don't think he's got I don't think he's got the confidence in his strength, but he's got it. He's got it. He just got to put confidence to it. All right, guys, moving on. We have the Philadelphia 76ers, and there was a big headline that came out this
Yeah, I saw that.
and it's referring to Mr. Tyrese Maxey. This guy has been making headlines in the offseason because he has been pulling a little Rocky Balboa, getting up early in the morning, crack of dawn, still no sun up, working out at 5 in the morning, getting more done like the Marines, getting more done before 11 a.m. than most people do. You know, this is a guy who's working strictly with Sam Cassell and, by chance, Doc Rivers' son. Do you guys believe that Tyrese Maxey in his career with the Sixers will be a consistent all-star going forward? Or do you think it's just still a flash in the pan? Dave, I'll start with you.
I love Max. You know, I'm a Maxey guy. I like him. I like him a lot. I think he's a great player. I think he works hard. He wants to win. I love his mentality of winning. He wants to win. But there is a but in there. There's a but. I don't think he needs help. And he can't do it by himself. That's for sure. And can he be a role player? Yeah. I mean, can he be,
can he be an all-star consistently?
An all-star?
Yeah.
If he works hard enough, yeah, I can see it. But
I mean, getting up at 5 in the morning and putting in.
If you're gonna go that, if he's pulling a Doc Holliday and doing the same thing, I understand that. That's great. I mean, right. Doc did the same thing. I get it.
Doc was good at that too.
Oh, he was. No, there's no question about it. Well, Doc was Doc, Yeah. But Maxey's not Doc,
and let's be clear for our listening audience. We are not talking about Doc Rivers. We're talking about Doc Holliday.
Doc Holliday. Right. I think he can become an all-star. I do. But he's just got to work hard. He's got to want it, I mean.
Dame, 2 days before 11 a.m. You see this as a kid that's hungry for the limelight, hungry for stardom and all-star power and all the things that come with it?
Absolutely. I mean, anything in life, whether you're an athlete or a teacher or an engineer, when you put the work in, you're going to get the results. The guy is talented, man. I mean, so I was listening to what Dave was saying. A thing that crossed my mind, if he was playing for, let's say, the Sacramento Kings or the Charlotte Hornets, right? He would be the guy. He would be the guy on that team.
Exactly. That's where I was going with that.
Him is he's in a beautiful situation where he does not have to carry a team. He can just add to what's already there and not just add to it, but be a significant part of it. And I believe that the coaching staff sees this and he's going to be that second option. I think Harden's the glue. I mean, we know the offense is built around big fella. We get that. Yeah. But this kid is going to change the tempo. And so, man, I definitely see it. Like I said, he made me forget about 25, dude. He made me forget about him early on in the game. So,
it almost makes you feel like if would have been the inverse. If we would have drafted Maxey before 2-5, 2-5 would have never been here. Yeah. That's just my takeaway.
Yeah. And for him to get some playing time. I'm sorry, what's up, James? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, James. What?
No, I'm sorry. I said something like, I think Jason Tatum was in the same draft, was he?
Yep.
I believe he was.
Yeah,
and we'll still regret that for as long could be.
Yeah, that
Tatum was in the Markelle Fultz draft.
Yes, but Jaylen Brown, I believe, was the guy that was
in this.
I believe it was.
But you know what, man?
Around the
I can't. We can't go back because he was not to go back to all that. He was and the talent's there. He just didn't choose to use it. My thing is, man, I thought you was gonna bring this up, Joey. This investigation is
Yeah, that's right. I thought he was going with that too.
So
it's bull crap, and I got evidence to prove it.
Can somebody explain it?
Okay.
Explain it to me because I don't understand it. I
Dame,
didn't understand
I'll
what I
let
was
you.
reading.
I'll let you take the helm here.
Anybody?
It's bull crap, and I'm gonna tell you
Okay,
why.
but
I say it.
explain the situation. I don't understand it. What is it?
Okay, I'm sorry, Dave. I apologize. So the situation is, I forget the guy said they should be investigated. So now it comes out yesterday. The NBA is curious as to why James Harden turned down his player option at $47.5 million. They're also concerned that the Sixers had contact prior to the quote unquote deadline with PJ Tucker and House Jr. Here's why it's bullcrap. I'm gonna give you an example of one that you guys saw, and I'm gonna share something I saw personally. So going back to the decision, okay, when LeBron James did that interview, you don't think Pat Riley knew prior to that interview that he was going to be in Miami Heat? Of course he did. They had to have that conversation, right? Come on. I'll do you one better. When I lived out west, I hung in the House of Blues, seen many concerts there, Run DMC, where Aerosmith, the whole nine, hung out in there. Mm-hmm. I saw one night with my own eyes before cell phones, free agent Shaquille O'Neal hanging out with Magic Johnson, hanging out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Magic Johnson whispers in his ear, boom, 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 comes back with drinks. They're chilling. Mm-hmm. I go home later that night to my girlfriend at the time, who's a huge Laker fan, and I said, Shaquille O'Neal's going to be a Laker. Boom. So don't give me this tampering. They all talk. You don't think Daryl Morey has a relationship with these guys. So the repercussions are, if they're found, quote unquote, in violation, what will happen is they will be fined and probably the contracts will be nullified. But I don't believe that because they've already made PJ Tucker jerseys, okay? They've already made House jerseys, House Junior jerseys. And so what are you? Why are you mad? Because this man decided to take less to help his team.
Right.
So this is bull crap, man. And I'm like, the league needs to stop.
So I'm gonna go in the legal perspective, so that I'm gonna speak in very small words, so that the lead officials can understand me, because they have a hard time understanding most people that speak truth. And Dame, I'm backing you up. But so here's what I'm saying. The tampering comes from if a GM contacts a free agent or contacts a player on another team prior to the opening of free agency or of the regular season. That never happened. However, a person like James Harden, who has PJ Tucker's number, who has Daniel House's phone number, and is just a player, is allowed to contact other players. Hell, you have other players on other teams going to friends' charity events. Karl Anthony Towns goes to Joel Embiid's, fundraisers. There are guys that, talk to one another when they're not on the court. You want this to be a league of brothers, a league of brotherhood, a league of family. You yourself, as the NBA officials, have said, welcome the new players to the NBA family. If we're all a family, why is it illegal for one brother to talk to another brother?
Right.
Why is it illegal? Because, you're worried about offending people? Oh, wait. I recall correctly that there were guys like Anthony Davis that outwardly said to New Orleans, I refuse to play until you trade me.
And this is where I like to go. And this is where I want to go.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, to your point, Joe, I'm just saying that's what he said. And this is where I want to go. I don't want to play for your team. I want to go to the Lakers.
So you're telling me you would rather have guys that are going to completely sabotage franchises in your league because of their own selfish need, rather than having people work things out without it looking like they've said. Did PJ Tucker tank for the Heat because he was going to be a Sixer next year? No. Did Daniel House tank because he's going to be a Sixer next year? No. So let's stop.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
stop
exactly.
the conjecture of what was said behind closed doors. No, PJ Tucker last time I checked, there wasn't a gun to PJ Tucker's head to sign a contract.
Unrestricted free agent. Unrestricted. I can speak to any. He could have spoken to a team over in Dubai. Okay,
Correct.
I'm an unrestricted free agent.
Correct.
Okay. The other thing is, to your point, Joe. Excellent. Look, it was openly stated that LeBron and Wade and Bosh said, "Yeah, I want to play together one day."
Right.
So, and you're right. The legal part, the GM cannot speak to the player.
Yes.
Okay, but I think Daryl Morey's smart enough and savvy enough. He's been doing this too long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To not screw that up. So it's just like I'm looking at this going up. Really? You don't have anything else to do. How about this? How about going over to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and those guys and getting on them about, yo, I want to leave after I sign a contract, getting on Ben Simmons. Dude, deal with that. Leave us alone, man.
Yeah.
You know what? No, I'm going on the rant. I'm going on the Joey
rant. He's red. He's red.
We're the one that's victimized here, okay? We had a guy that quit on us last year, okay? You guys, my best player literally was the MVP of the league, carried the team prior to Harden arriving, and you deprived them of an MVP award. You deprived them of that because of analytics. And now you want to come at us because we want to make our team better? Really, NBA? Yo, I'm telling you, man, this is our year. This is our year.
So it's interesting because the one thing that I love about Dame
Calm down, Dame.
Everything he says is truth. Everything he says, no matter how fired up, and look, I get it. I understand it. But let's be clear about something. You don't think Daryl Morey, and to Dame's point, you don't think Daryl Morey called James and called Doc and called Joe and said, hey, I'm going to meet you at the Capitol Grill or Fuka de Chow or whatever. I'm going to pay for dinner. Let's just have a chat. Okay. They go there and say, okay, guys, we got a lot of options here on the table, and I just want to know what your feedback is on what I should do, what we should do. Because this isn't just about me, but I got to execute this so you guys feel comfortable. James probably was like, well, I like to have people that I know that, you know, I know how they work. You know, Dame brought this up several times, and it's a very salient point. And that is the idea of why people want to get rid of Tobias. Why? Because this guy has changed schemes 4 times in 3 years.
He has.
That is an immense challenge for any player to overcome. Why did James Harden possibly suggest PJ Tucker in-house? Maybe because he already is comfortable and they're comfortable with each other's scheme. They know how to communicate without saying it. That's the difference. So what is Harden? How does that help Joel and everybody else? They don't know PJ in house like that. Well, that's where Harden is the bridge to that. And Dame said this too. He's the facility. Harden's going to be the glue. Well, absolutely, because you got the old Houston Rockets and you got the new Philadelphia process 76ers. He's the glue that's going to mesh these together and say, look, this is how we're going to work it. This is how we're going to do it. This is why
and yet Doc's still here.
Well, I'm going to get into that because one thing that I mentioned about Maxey, I was kind of surprised I didn't get a rise out of anybody. But how do you guys feel about Doc Rivers' son being an assistant coach on this team and helping Maxey? You feel like what's that?
I didn't hear that either. First time I've heard it.
First time.
It's his son. I forget his first name, but it's his son.
Not Austin, the one.
No. This is his other son. Okay. So I think it's his youngest son. I believe.
Okay.
So basically, he's like the strength and skills coach. So he's been kind of coaching Maxey along with Sam Cassell. So Maxey's been getting up at 5 a.m, going to the gym and running and all of this, working on his game. And this guy, who's Doc Rivers' son, has basically been trash talking Maxey to kind of get a rise out of him, because he's trying to psychologically get in Maxey's head so that he can get ready for those other situations that might incur during a game.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to prepare him. And we've all seen the movie Hustle, and how they, Adam Sandler's yelling, "I slept with your mother."
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "What?" And he's like, no, I didn't actually sleep with your mother. I was just trying to get your attention.
Preparing you for the games, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think this guy is kind of, I think Doc's son has watched too many times.
Too many movies there, buddy.
Yeah. But my point is this. Do you guys have faith in the Rivers bloodline? Do you think the apple has fallen too close to the tree or too far from the tree?
I don't know anything about that, Joe. I can't tell you. I have no clue. If I had to say,
I'm curious because
I'm clueless on this one.
If Maxey takes a step back, I know who to blame.
There you go.
Yeah, you know what, Joe? And I hear you. I'm not too worried about it. The only reason I'm not, I think they respect him enough not to try to tamper with them, if you will, lack of a better term. But the other thing that reason why it doesn't really concern me because Cassell's still there, and we've seen that how he's been pushing this young man since day one, even during games. Dave, he's on the sideline. Like remember I don't know if you remember the game, James, where they were trying to get Max to do some things, and he was attacking the basket, and Sam was like, "Thank you." Like so. Like I remember Sam doing that to let him know, like they can't stop you.
Yeah.
And I think now that we're sharing this, now they're really preparing to take to the next level. Like, dude, you can really go to the next level.
I honestly think if the Sixers brass was smart, they would encourage Sam to stay and wait for Doc. Wait for Doc to run out his contract, and he will be the heir apparent to Doc Rivers. I really feel that way.
Yeah. All right, James, let's wrap this up.
James, very good stuff, guys. Before we go, let's check out our sponsors one last time. David Archeri, if you're looking for workers' compensation, motor vehicle accidents, or personal criminal law, call him today at 610-565-0300. And Philly sports trips, nothing better than going to Washington for week 3 of the regular season between Eagles and that guy from Washington
the commies.
The commies. Yeah,
it's the Commanders. Get it right. Let's go.
I'm not going there. Anyway, September the 25th will be the date with lower level ticket, bus, food, drink, and entertainment for only $325. Visit www.phillysportstrips.com today and purchase your tickets today. And
listen, also, people, about this Philly Sports Trips to DC. We are trying to get 1,000 people. We are already at 500. We are trying to get 1,000 people to come with us. The Edge of Philly Sports is going to have their own bus. Come with us and enjoy knocking the living hell out of Charmin Wentz.
And
did I say that out loud? I'm sorry.
And guys, don't forget about the other shows during the week. Monday, Phillies broadcast. You got Tuesday night with Matty B. Wednesday nights, you got Joey and Big Al and Jim and Chet. Thursday nights, I'm not sure. Friday nights, I believe it's Phillies final with Matty B. Saturdays, you got us. And Sundays, you get the lacrosse. So 9 p.m.
Keep in mind, with Philly Press Box Radio, Chet just announced that they will have Brian Westbrook on.
I heard that
week's show, along with other big names and surprises. So tune in this Wednesday. It's going to be a great show. And tune in to all the shows on Edge of Philly Sports.
6 o'clock. I forgot about the Celly Squad on Monday night. Sorry, Celly Squad, my fault.
And the Gobbler Inc.
And Gobbler Inc. on Sunday at 9 a.m. Yes.
Yep.
And James, we are all about out of time. And I will say this. I applaud James. This is his inaugural producing show. You did an excellent job. And more to come. And take us on out, buddy.
Yep. Now for Joey Marks, for Cowboy Dave, and Damon Salim, this is James Scozer from the Pattison Ave Phanatics Show. We'll see you next Saturday at 9 a.m. Have a good weekend, everybody.
See you guys.
Good show, guys.
Later.